Hey there, students. Here's a short video to show you how to organize data in StatCrunch. In particular, how you can use it to create a frequency chart or distribution table that shows frequency. And I'm also going to do relative frequency as well as cumulative frequency in a chart. And I'm using problem number 5 from homework number 2 as an example. So first thing I would do is click on this box here and click on Open in StatCrunch, and then the data will open up in the StatCrunch program. And so we can see it's been filled into this column here. And in order to make a frequency table, we would like to organize the data into these classes here. Now you can have StatCrunch make classes for you automatically, like for example at the end of the semester or the end of the class if we're in the summer. You're going to want to be able to organize your data in these kind of tables for your project. But for this specific problem, they're telling us which classes they want us to use for this. And so we'll just use the classes they're giving us here. So I have the data here, and so the first thing I'm going to do is create these classes and see how the data falls into these classes. So if I go into the data and I go to bin, bin is the StatCrunch word for what my stat lab calls the class. And so I would select the column with the data in it. And I could have it automatically make bins, but I'm going to use the fixed bin widths that they gave us here. So I'm going to switch to that, and the starting value will be 15 because that's where they started. And to see how the width of the bins, look how far you go from the first starting value to the second bin starting value. So from 15 to 21, that's an increase of 6. If I subtract 15 from 21, I get 6. So that means the width of my bins is 6. So if I tell StatCrunch to make bins with this data, with this starting point in this range, it'll create these bins that I have here, basically. Now, StatCrunch is just showing the whole number values. But as we can see, you have 15 to 21. That doesn't actually include the 21. It's basically everything up to 21, but not including 21. The next one up is 21 to 27. So that's this one here where they don't actually include the 27. And if you look and found like an actual value, you would see that the value labeled as the ending value in StatCrunch is actually not included in that bin. It's included in the next one. In any event, so these are they've put the bin beside the data value that each of those data values would fall into. So now I have a new column created that lists the bins, but it lists them next to each of the data values. So how do I get a table like this where I get the frequency in each bin? Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Stat, Tables, Frequency, and I'm going to make a frequency table of those bin values that correspond to the data values. So I click frequency, and I'm going to select the bin column. Then I can tell it what I want to make in the columns. The one we want is frequency. That's automatically selected here. But I can also select other things, like again, for other problems or for your project, you might also want to select the relative frequency and the cumulative frequency. I'm using the control button on a Windows computer to select more than one and not select all the ones in between. So then if I do that, it will make a table in which it has those bins, and it has the frequency, relative frequency, and cumulative frequency for these bins. And so for this problem, I can just fill in the frequency values that are here, 3, 8, 5, 3, and 1. So let's say I do 3, whoops, I said 3. 3, 8, 5, 3, and 1. And those are the frequency values. But StatCrunch will tally those up for you. Now in this case, there's only 20 pieces of data. So you could have in this problem just looked over the data and counted up how many were between 15 and 20.9 and seen there were 3 of them. etc. But StatCrunch will do that for you. Once you define the bins, then you can create this table that has not only the frequency values, but the relative frequency and even the cumulative frequency as well. So hopefully that helps, and you can see StatCrunch will do a lot of the work for you. Keep up the hard work.